In this class today, we're going to be talking about variables. Up until now, we've only really looked at expressions. So if I did 2 plus 2 in this console, it would give me 4. If I did ABC plus DEF, if I can type this correctly, it'd give me ABCDEF. But how useful would it be if we actually had a place to store those values? Well, we can actually do that with variables. So if I have something like x equals 2 plus 2, we don't see anything printed. But now if we ask for x again, then Python will give us 4. Well, what's up, Code Squad? Welcome back to my Python course. As you may know, this is a course that starts from the very, very basics of Python and hopefully builds up to a place where you won't need to search YouTube videos anymore in order to program. By the way, there are notes and practice problems on GitHub located in the description below. And there's also a beginner Python Discord channel that you can join in order to learn with the community. So let's go into the iPad and see exactly what's going on behind the scenes there. Today, we are going to be talking about variables. So in my console, I've typed x equals 2 plus 2. So when Python sees this single equal sign, not to be confused with the double equal sign that we saw, was an operator for asking, is it equal or is equal to. What this is actually doing is saying, hey, take this variable name and set it equal to whatever is on this side of the equal sign. Okay, well, what's on that side of the equal sign? What is 2 plus 2? 2 plus 2 equals 4. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to set x equal to 4. So I've been telling my students that there is something known as the virtual computer world, which doesn't actually exist in computer science. So please don't actually say that to anybody because it's just something that I came up with. But this is a virtual computer world, and I'm just going to show you guys this as a virtual representation. So this is what's like actually going on inside the computer. When we create a variable, what Python's doing is saying, hey, does our variable x exist? Well, do we see any x's in this circle over here? Nope. So let's create a variable called x. And this equal sign is basically saying, hey, we're going to assign something to that variable. So we're going to assign something, and that value that we're assigning is whatever's after the equal sign, which in this case is 4. So we're going to assign the value 4 to x. Now, if I tell Python, hey, y is now equal to, ABC, well, what's on the right-hand side of that equal sign? It's just a string ABC. Does y exist in our virtual computer world yet? Nope. So let's create a y, and let's set this to our string ABC, and I'm going to just show it to you guys in this character format. Okay. Now here, if I say x is equal to y, what that's going to do, actually first, let's do if x is double equal to y. What Python's doing is saying, okay, what is the value of x? What is the value of x? It's 4. Now, is this equal to y? And what's y? It's ABC. Are these things equal? No, they're not. So what this actually gives me is false. Okay. But if I do x equals y, well, now this is an assignment operator. It's basically telling Python, hey, look for this variable x, which exists in our virtual computer world, and we don't care about what's on the other side of that right now because it's not, we're just going to assign it to whatever's on the right-hand side of the equal sign, which happens to be y. And what is the value of y? It's ABC. So we are actually going to just make a copy of that. And now x is equal to A, B, C. So now in our virtual computer world, both x and y are strings A, B, C. Okay? So let's actually take a different example. Let's say x is equal to 1. So if I have my virtual computer world here, well, let's set x equal to 1. And now let's say, hey, y is equal to 5. Okay, so y is not in our virtual computer world yet. Let's come up with a variable y. Set that equal to 5. All right, and let's bring in a z and set this equal to x plus y. So take a quick second, think about what would that be? All right. Is z in our virtual computer world? Do we see that anywhere in this box over here? Nope. So I'm going to create a variable z, and I'm going to set this equal. Okay, well, what's x? X is 1, and y is 5, right? Because I'm going to go into my virtual computer world, ask, hey, what's x? Oh, it's 1. So I know that over here it's 1. And then I'm going to go into my virtual computer world, say, hey, give me y. Y is equal to 5. So this is 5. All right, what's 1 plus 5? This equals 6. So what is the right-hand side of this expression? It's 6. So I'm setting z equal to 6 here. Okay? Now, if I take x and I set this equal to x plus 1, do you guys think that's legal? Do you think I can do that? Well, let's treat it like any other variable. What's on the right-hand side of this equal sign? It's x plus 1. Okay, what is the value of x? Well, it's 1. So I can do 1 plus, well, 1 is 1, so this is just 1, and that equals 2. So this side gives me 2. Okay, well, now I'm assigning x equal to whatever's on the right-hand side. I go into my virtual computer world, I find x, okay, it's right there. Well, we don't care about what it used to be. Now we're going to set it equal to the new value, which is 2. All right. And a different way to write this expression is actually x plus equals 1. So if I do x plus equals 1, that's automatically saying, hey, okay, maybe I shouldn't use an arrow, but this is, in other words, this is x equals x plus 1. Now let's go on to Replit and let's actually take a look at this specific example. I can set x equal to 1, y equal to 5. So now if I get x, it's 1. If I get y, it's 5. And I'm going to set z equal to x plus y. All right, so what's z? It's 6, just like how we drew in our diagram. Now let's do x equals x plus 1. And what's x? It's now 2. But you also notice that y and z don't change because in the diagram that we drew, they actually don't change, right? The only variable that's getting affected was x. And if I do, this shorthand plus equals 1, it's saying, okay, take whatever's on the right-hand side and add that to whatever x is and put it back in x. So now x should be 3. And then if I do x plus equals, 10, it's basically saying, hey, take x and then add 10 to it and then put it back in x. So now x should be 13. Ta-da! So let's quickly talk about different variable names. In the example that I drew out, instead of x equals 1, I could have set elephant equal to 1, right? Or I could have said z equal to 10. Well, these are all, variable names. So what should I use as a variable name? Well, in order to do that, let me actually give you an example. And we'll start typing in this script over here. Okay, so let's actually take this example right here. I'm going to set a equal to 3.1415. I'm going to set b equal to 2. C equal to 2 times a times b. D equal to a times b squared. E equal to 4 times d. and f equal to 4/3 times a times b to the power of 3. So do you have any idea what a, b, c, d, e, f represent here? Probably not, right? Well, what if I change some of these variable names? So what if I called this pi, and I called this, radius, and for all the different a's, I'm now going to name these pi, and for all the b's, I'm going to call this the radius. All right, well, what is 2 pi r? That's the circumference of a circle, right? What is pi r squared? That's the area of a circle. And I'm going to make this like that. Okay, so now what's 4 times the area? That is the surface area, right, of a sphere. And 4/3 pi r cubed, well, that is our volume of a sphere. Right, so now, hopefully, both to you and me, this is a lot clearer to read. So I know exactly what's going on here. Up here, I'm setting some values that are important for my calculations later. Now here, I'm doing some circle calculations. And then down here, I'm doing some sphere calculations. And you'll notice that, okay, this little, pound sign, hashtag, whatever you guys call it these days, this here denotes a comment. So if I have something like this in the code, this is saying calculate surface area, right? So anything after this sign, Python's saying, okay, just ignore this. This is just for the humans to read. So I could even do something like this, and it'll be totally fine. So down here, let's print out, actually, what the radius is. So print is just something that Python is saying, hey, show the humans what this value is. So if I print r and then the radius, this is going to print r, a space, and then whatever the value of this variable is. And then I can print, circle. And let's just print the circumference and area. Okay. So if I run this, actually, you'll see that I'm printing r here, and the value of r is 2, right? Because we set that up here and we never changed it again. And then we can print circle, which gets printed right here, and then it gives us circumference and area as we've calculated here. So it happened to be the same thing because our radius is 2. But what's cool is we can actually change our radius and rerun this. So now you'll see that our circumference is 6.283, but our area is just 3.1415. Okay? So this is the power of variables. We don't have to actually, here for the area, we can use this area again later without having to retype all of it out. And now we can actually store these, put it somewhere, we give it to the computer, say, hey, keep track of these. And this is just the name that I'm going to name it, circumference, area, whatever. And pull those up, when I ask for that name. So variables are, this great tool that Python has for us. It is a little bit possible to choose variable names that go a little bit too far. So instead of circumference, if I say something like the length of circle x perimeter, maybe. Okay, well now every single time I want to get this variable, I have to type all of that out. And you guys saw how many different times I've made a mistake there. Like if I accidentally type something like this, Python would start giving us an error. So it is possible to go a little bit too far and make things a bit ridiculous. So I'm just going to change that back. You want to try to be as descriptive as possible while being as succinct as possible. So you want to make everything, short. In programming, we believe that the less you have to type, the less likely you are to make mistakes. And we don't like mistakes. So here, this is the circumference. And let me change that back to the circumference. All right, cool. So those are variables. So a few rules for variable names that we have to follow. So first, they have to begin with an alphabetical character or an underscore. So I can say, this variable name. And for the sake of this example, I'm just going to set everything equal to 1. But this variable name, this is a valid variable name. I can also do underscore var name. Maybe I set that to 10. Okay, but that's also a valid variable name. And I can set, I can take var is equal to 10. Var is valid. I can say var 1, 2, 3, 4 is equal to 1. And that would also be a valid variable name. But variables cannot begin with a number. So if I do 1, 2, 3 var, you'll see that I actually get an error. Okay, this is just complaining, hey, this is not proper Python, which it's not. Another thing about variables is that it can't contain any special characters. So it can only contain alphabet values, numbers, and underscores. There's no, exclamation marks, no dots, no dashes. Var dash name equals 1. You'll see that gives me another syntax error. If I say var dot name equals 1, that's also an error. If I do var exclamation mark name equals 1, that's also another error. Okay, so no special characters. And then finally, variable names are actually case sensitive. So if I have var equals 1, if I have capital VAR equals 2, if I have VAR, all caps, equals 3, you'll see that if I do var is equal to VAR, this gives me false. And the reason is because Python sees all these values as different values. So think of like the lowercase v and the capital V in Python, like when you're naming variables, as just completely different characters. Okay, so uppercase and lowercase, when you're dealing with your variable names, these things matter. So that is the end of this course. I just wanted to briefly discuss variable names with you guys and show you guys how they work. In the next class, we'll be discussing some more complicated types that we can actually work with in Python. So I'll see you guys next time.